Hello and welcome to episode number 54 of Absolute Scenes. My name's Tom Rouse and I am the host here at Absolute Scenes. Do come in and tuck your chair in, thank you. And I'm joined by the boy with the tightest curls in cardigan, Billy Roach. How you doing, Billy?
Hello. I thought you were going to say the clean-shaven Tom Rouse, as obviously
yes,
you're probably going to get onto that later on. But yes, I'm good. I'm good, Tom. I do need a haircut. It's chucking it down. I've just been outside, and my hair has now frizzed into its usual state that is known. But yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Teaching from home at the minute, as a result of the C word, as it were.
yes.
But yeah, hopefully back to normal next week. But I'm good. I'm good. How's things with you in sunny Wolverhampton?
Oh, it's lovely. We've had copious amounts of rain as well. Like you've said, I think it seems to be a nationwide problem. So yes, but lockdown ended yesterday, so it's now perfectly safe and reasonable to go around everybody's houses now. But it wasn't on Monday. So, I mean, I find it fascinating, really, the thought process behind. I don't know why. I mean, again, I don't want this to become a COVID-heavy podcast, but I don't understand the thinking and the reasoning behind stopping the lockdown where it looks like it's having such a great impact on the cases. The cases are decreasing massively. Why not just prolong the lockdown until the end of December, tell everybody to have a tough Christmas, and then let's just try in the spring to open back up again. Somebody in school was saying as well, why didn't we just really lock down hard all through the summer and we wouldn't be in this situation now? We could have eradicated the virus if we had closed the borders. I know it's a very extreme view, but but there is glimmer of hope, isn't there, Billy? There's a vaccine which has been passed. Yeah. Jonathan Van Tam, everybody's favourite deputy medical officer.
He is my favourite. If you'd have asked me, Tom, he'd have been the first name that came to my mouth.
Yeah. So there's a few things I like about him. I like that he's a football fan, and he wore a Boston United tie on one of his briefings back in the summer when it was at its peak. The analogies that he uses as well are excellent. So he's been describing the vaccine process as a penalty shootout. So there was what very, very long time ago they said about we've put the first penalty in, but there's still a long way to go. Then he used the analogy today that COVID scored a goal in the first half and they absolutely hammered us in the first half. But now we're 70 minutes into the game. We've just got an equaliser. We don't want to just go off and lose what we've got. We've got an equaliser, but we need to, stick with the point and hopefully catch a goal in stoppage time.
So basically what you're saying is they've had Drogba come on and score from a corner and now they're going to go into the penalty shootout and win with the penultimate kick. There we are. Sounds great, Tom. Yeah. I like the plan.
But also on the topic of the vaccine, we as young men would not be in the first 10 categories of people to receive it. So the first would be like care homes and people who live in care homes, support workers in care homes. Then it'd be people like over 80, over 70, over 60, over 50, and then they're the priority. So the conversation that I'm having with all my friends at the minute about, would you have one? Is completely irrelevant because we're not even going to be asked, which I think is quite good because so long as the vulnerable people have got it, it should be okay, shouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I didn't even know we were 10th on the list, Tom. That shows how much
we're not even 10th. We're not even in the top 10.
We're not even 10th.
No.
Oh, so it shows how much I've been paying attention. It's in one ear and out the other with me. Yeah. So moving on, Tom.
Yeah, moving on. You may, hopefully you've noticed that we've got a brand new logo as well, which was created by a now friend of the podcast, Jason Bernard. So I'll put his links to his Instagram on the description to this podcast. He's created the logo. Billy, you were a little bit picky about your facial hair on the logo. Are you happy with it now?
Yeah, much happier now. It was more because don't get me wrong, I know I haven't got the best facial hair, but it was more the fact that it just looked like I had this thing underneath my chin and nothing around my lip, and I thought I'm going to need something there. I was quite disappointed, Tom, that yours didn't appear. your moustache, because obviously at the time he was making it, he did. But I know he's done your logo as well, hasn't he? And used the same face, I think it was, and stuff. So I can understand that. But it's good. It's a good change from the black and white plain logo that we've had for the past year, and showing progression, Tom. It's showing progression, showing that we're moving up in the world.
It does make it like pop out a little bit more. I think when I've been scrolling through other podcast apps that ours appears on, it does seem to strike the eye.
I think the yellow background as well helps. I think it's like they say with the keepers, don't they? If they have the bright tops on, you notice them more, and you're drawn to it.
Absolutely.
So hopefully that we now are up to about 2 listeners a week. So hopefully. Well, actually, I should say 3 because it's my mum, your mum, and Harry. So that's the 3 that we've got. So but go on.
Absolutely. No, well, don't be disparaging of our audience, Billy. We're averaging around about 30 people, 30 listens, 30 downloads a week, which is
you hope it's 30 people at least. It's not like 30 dogs.
Yeah, but if dogs enjoy it, that's fine. Just a big push for everybody. I think personally, I do this for fun, but I would like to get more people to listen to it. So if you do listen, then why not share it? I think a New Year's resolution, which we'll probably talk about in a couple of weeks, I want to get about 100 people to listen to this every week, which is a big push. But I think if we focus our energy and we do a lot of, I don't know if you noticed on Twitter, Billy, but I've been replying. I typed in podcast recommendations on Twitter, and then everybody who said, "Has anybody got any podcast recommendations?" I just replied with our podcast.
So hopefully,
success. But
so if you're new, hello, I'm Billy. He's Tom, and we're just a bunch of idiots who try to record a podcast each week.
Yeah.
But no, on that note as well, Tom, I don't know if you want to mention it now in regards to, because obviously last month we were doing a big push in relation to your moustache. Do you have the numbers there?
So I do have the numbers. I'll just give the whole total that was raised, because last week I had £3 in there. And I was a little bit concerned that, and Alice was teasing me because she was saying, "You're growing this moustache and you've raised no money. You look ridiculous. What are you doing?" But then
you say that, Tom, though. But we had already said that for every listen we would obviously donate £1. So you were on £3, but you obviously weren't including the listens for that month in that total.
Yeah,
I hope not. Anyway,
the first donation was from somebody who always watches my live streams and comments and stuff on YouTube, and that's somebody called Huss on YouTube. So he got the ball rolling, but now thanks to your listenership and our contributions, then as a result of that, and then a lot of other contributions as well from friends and family, I'm now to £350, which surpassed my target of £100 by some way. So I'm very, very pleased and very, very grateful.
Well done. Well done, Tom.
If we were
you're
Steve
in charge
Wright
of
in
the
afternoon.
audio. You're in charge of the audio, so you can add the applause button or whatever sound effect that you want.
No, so I'm really, really pleased, really
you should be, Tom,
with how much people want to support. But I think it was thanks to Alice dyeing my moustache for the first time, because being blonde, you've never been able to see before, and I've done it for previously I've grown it for all of October as a beard and then shaved it off, and then had a really thick, long moustache by the end of November. But they've still not been able to see it, so dyeing it I think had a huge impact. So I'll definitely be doing that again in future. But it's only the second time I've ever bothered to ever asked for money, because I do feel with Movember, there's a lot of it is about raising awareness as well about the charity, and I do feel a bit cheeky asking for money every single year when it's just growing facial hair. It's nothing.
I mean, I have mine year round, so I know what you mean, though. It is. When I did it for the first time as well, even though when I did, I obviously dyed mine for the half marathon and stuff and dyed it purple. I wanted to obviously have it leading up to it as well, but with work and stuff, I wasn't able to. But yeah, it is it's an easy thing to raise awareness in terms of obviously for men just growing the facial hair. I say it's easy. Some people obviously can't. I couldn't grow mine until I was 27. But yeah, it's a good cause, and well done, Tom. Credit for you for raising that amount of money.
Thank you. But it does feel weird looking at myself in this picture now without a mustache. I got used to it. And there's another podcast that I appear on, the 77 Club, and Bayliss. I've just listened to their podcast from this week, and he's kept it on because he likes it so much. And it was very, very tempting, but
Alice said no.
Exactly.
Just get to the point, Tom.
Yeah. So, this is a loosely based, it's become increasingly looser, but a loosely based sport podcast. So, first thing I wanted to raise was the injury to Raul Jimenez on Sunday at the Arsenal game. And you've just watched it now. A horrendous injury. And the sound of it was the worst. Yeah. Like watching it live, you knew immediately. It was not like anything else that I'd heard on a football pitch ever. I've seen really bad injuries in the flesh, and I've heard. I remember last year in about, I think it was September, a young Wolves player did his cruciate ligament, and you heard the snap from upstairs from my seat, and you heard his scream. But there was nothing like Raul on Sunday. The crack from the head.
I mean, on top of that, obviously, with the fact that there's no fans there as well, obviously you're obviously able to hear it a lot clearer, and obviously being on telly and stuff. But yeah, like I've just watched it, and it was I watched it first without the audio, and you said you need to watch it with the audio, and I winced once obviously when it happened, but even more so the second time. But yeah, we obviously, hopefully, I know he's gone through surgery now, hasn't he? And he's back home, I think.
Yeah. So obviously, Alice, my partner who works in a intensive care unit, comes across lots of head traumas very often. So straight away, I could ask her. So what would happen now when he's rushed into intensive care? What would happen? So she explained they'd put a tap in and they'd drain any blood from the brain, or if there is any blood, they check that straight away, and then they might put a plate in there straight away, all sorts of things. But the fact that he was conscious within 40-50 minutes of it happening was really positive. He seems to have been on social media, but I don't know whether that's him or his partner doing stuff. But your first thought is not, oh God, he's a footballer. He's a human being. It does make you appreciate as well how much that these players give. He could well have lost his career. He could have easily lost his life in that kind of injury. Could have, at the time, I thought he'd broken his neck or something. The way that the other players were reacting, you could tell how serious it was. And they do put their bodies on the line for a shirt at the end of the day, and that represents thousands of people and our city. And I hope that he does feel the gratitude that we as fans are showing towards him. But I wanted to ask you, Billy, your memories. Obviously, you as a Chelsea fan, quite a while ago now. When was it? 2004, 2005, something like this, with Petr Cech?
2006, I think it was.
Okay, so it was Reading, the game against Reading, Stephen Hunt clipping Petr Cech on the top of the head, and then a fractured skull. But I know you've just researched it now. Quite a quick turnaround. 3 months he was out for. But
we did. I did say, didn't I? Obviously, it might be slightly different for Raul because he is an outfield player. I don't know if that makes a difference or not. But and obviously it could be less because of medical advancement in the last 14 years. He had a depressed skull fracture, it says here. So again, it could be completely different. I obviously don't know what's happened to Raul Jimenez, but I can remember. I remember watching the game, but it is slightly different because it was a goalkeeper and he went down to collect the ball, and it was Hunt left his foot in intentionally or not. He went for the ball and ended up catching Petr Cech, and I remember him being down for a long time, and it just being Kudicini coming on, and then.
Kudicini got injured as well, didn't he?
And then Kudicini got that. That's what I remember most about that game as well. Is Cudicini then going off, and then Terry having to go in goal as well. So he was losing both goalkeepers within one match. It was just it was bizarre, really bizarre game. Obviously he came back, and it's almost odd now to see him without the hat. Whereas obviously at the time, the first few times he was wearing it, it was very strange. But obviously it's become, it's a symbol that obviously we looked as well as an Romanian player who played in Italy for Inter Milan, Chivu. He obviously was well known for it as well. But yeah, he obviously went on. He got sponsored by the Adidas and Puma to wear their head guards and stuff like that. So obviously, there's not, but obviously there's that element of it as well. But
there's also that really famous picture of a FIFA game. I want to say about 2018 or 2019 when they first introduced those negotiations, and Petr Cech was in his contract negotiation with his scrum cap
with his scrum, yeah. But yeah, it's I think it did affect Cech as a goalkeeper for some time. Obviously coming out, it was probably a bit, obviously you've got to get over that hurdle as well. Yeah. But yeah, it was. He was still great as a goalkeeper, and he still went on to do incredible things. Hopefully Jimenez is the same. Obviously, it'll depend on now what happens in terms of, like you just said, in regards to the surgery and what happens and what treatments he gets. Yeah. Obviously, I think they will obviously try and ensure that he can come back to play football if they can. But obviously, his health's the main thing that's the forefront of it.
Yeah, and it's very similar to Ryan Mason. He's only just had a baby as well in the last couple of months. The reason why Ryan Mason retired from football after having the same injury was because he had a young family and he wanted to make sure that he didn't have another injury. And as soon as you have a brain injury, it puts you at a much higher risk of receiving another one and then it being, critical, really. So we hope that Jimenez will be... Go on.
No, go on.
I was going to wrap up by saying that we hope Jimenez does return as soon as possible, but it does give Wolves a chance to play with different players because Raul Jimenez has started almost every game the Wolves have had in the Premier League, so it gives Fabio Silva a bit of a chance or somebody else a chance, and hopefully they grasp that as well.
I was just going to say, because they've been obviously talking, haven't they? I think it was before this anyway, about concussion injuries and having concussion substitutes introduced. And obviously this, obviously it's not a concussion, but in terms of a head injury and ensuring that they get checked out, it's that sort of thing, isn't it? It just emphasises the need for them and stuff. So hopefully it is introduced.
Football is very, very far behind in that because David Luiz clearly was not well enough to carry on. He was still, blood was coming through his head bandage after and he only came off at half time. But the only check that they do is that the opposition's doctor checks him out so that it's sort of as independent as it could be. And the Wolves doctor gave David Luiz the green light to go on and play. But it does seem that football's very, very far behind in lots of things. And this is another one. You've got concussion substitutes in rugby, even in cricket now. As soon as you get a blow to the head, and if it's bad enough, you can have a concussion substitute within a test match. So there was an incident last summer where Steve Smith got smashed on the head. He was fine to carry on, but then the next day his head started aching and they withdrew him and put in another batsman for the second innings, which is far more advanced than any sort of football at the minute. I mean, we shouldn't have to play without him for 10 minutes while they do this check. It should be more fluid and rolling substitutes.
Okay. Yeah.
So
but anyway,
the next topic then is a favourite of ours. If you've been following the podcast for the whole year that we've been on, last year we spoke. I think we had a whole episode perhaps about sports personality. So the six names have been released. Were there any surprises for you in there, Billy? Was there anybody you thought should have been in there that was not?
So I had a quick look because I've just seen today as well about Tyson Fury. He's obviously one of the names that's been nominated. And he's said that he obviously wants to withdraw his name if that's even possible. But it's awarded on your performance within sports. It's your performance on the pitch or in the ring or in whatever event. So it's that sort of that's how you get nominated. Hence why Rashford hasn't been nominated for it, because it's his achievements, if you want to call it, off the pitch, he's being awarded a separate award. So off the top of my head, I always think six. Some years six is they are clutching at straws for a couple maybe, but I think for the most part, it's good to see a variety. They've only got 2 footballers this year on the shortlist.
One footballer, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Henderson. Sorry, I've got Rashford on the head with Henderson in there, and unfortunately one female representative this year. Whereas, but Hamilton's there again. O'Sullivan's there. He's never won it. Fury, as we've said. Who am I missing, Tom? Stuart Broad.
And Holly Doyle, the
horse.
Yeah. But I think
I know you
remember the conversation that we had last year. I remember saying, it's always the odd numbered years are always really difficult to pick because there's not very many sporting events that happen. But next year in 2020, we'll have the Olympics, we'll have the European Championships. There'll be somebody who comes out above all of that. And I think, what was the athlete's name? There was Katrina Johnson-Thompson, perhaps, was mentioned, and the other one, I can't remember her name.
Smith. Is it Dina Smith?
That's Dina Asher-Smith. And I said, next year will be their year. They'll win gold or something, and it'll be their year. But unfortunately, because of everything that's happened, I suppose we've got to be grateful, really, that there's been enough sport to have this award.
Yeah, because of course,
there's one point in May where we thought there's not going to be anything.
Well, they have the Ballon d'Or's been cancelled, hasn't it, for this year? Which again is another topic of conversation where you could say it's rightly or wrongly been cancelled. But I think looking at it, it's probably, I think Hamilton personally is probably one of the favourites to win it, just because obviously him doing very well in terms of breaking is it matching Schumacher's record now?
I think he's beaten him now, isn't he?
I think it is beaten. That's obviously a huge achievement. O'Sullivan, I'm a massive fan of. Again, if you're looking at just the year, that's the sort of thing. But in terms of his life, he's never won it. So if at some point, Fury, obviously with the boxing and everything he's done. Unfortunately, the other 3, I don't obviously unfortunately know much about. Molly Heed, was it? Do you say?
Holly Doyle.
Holly Doyle. I've already forgotten. Look, I'm already half asleep. So yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. Again, we could go into a whole topic of conversation about women's sport and how little there is of it. In terms of
and in particularly this year, that lots of the women's leagues were just cancelled outright as soon as things stopped in March. Wolves women's team were denied promotion from their division, despite being miles ahead, and Wolves had pumped a lot of money into it. I know that side of it, but then there were some competitions that were completed, I think, afterwards, or the Women's Six Nations were completed afterwards, but it was really obvious that men's sport took prominence in. We need to get all this finished, but. I don't really understand why it was deemed to be more important.
I don't know.
It was all play behind closed doors. There was no real reason why the women's couldn't have been finished either.
Exactly. But Tom, what are your thoughts on the 6 names?
The
7 names now that I've just made up another person who's been nominated.
Yeah, Dolly Phipps or whatever you call her. Yeah, so. Well, I've just watched the video of Joe Wicks announcing it, and the first one was a cricketer, and he was sort of giving cryptic clues. So I straight away wrote Anderson because he took the 700th his 700th wicket.
Yeah,
700th. I think it was, wasn't he?
I'm going. Yeah, I'm just agreeing to whatever you say, Tom. Whatever number you say, I'm going to say 1 millionth wicket. Yeah, that's right, Tom.
I can't remember, but either way. Anderson took a record breaking. He's now taken more wickets than any other fast bowler ever in the history of the game. He's England's best ever bowler. And then at the end of this little clue that Joe Wicks was giving, he said
he's from Burnley as well. So that's an automatic win because
Yeah. Stuart Broad also took a record-taking wicket. He then became the second fast bowler to get 600 wickets, I think it was. But he's still 100 odd wickets behind James Anderson. So I just thought it was weird that it was Broad over Anderson this year. I've got a bit of a problem with that. Tyson Fury, I remember back in March because he just had his fight with Wilder at the end of February. I remember watching that at 5:00 in the morning, whatever it was, and everyone was saying in like March and April, well, it'll be Tyson Fury for Sports Personality of the Year because there's been no sport and there will be no sport. So, but I'm quite glad that he's decided or wants to withdraw his name because he was banned from having his name in there a couple of years ago. So he sort of turned it around and said, well, I don't want to be part of it. And I think it's a shame that he hasn't been able to fight Anthony Joshua yet because I think that is in the diary, isn't it? I think it is happening soon.
Yeah, I think it's next year. They've been talking about it. I know his dad's been, talking a lot about them having this clash and stuff. But yeah, go on.
But that would be a hell of a fight. Lewis Hamilton, I don't like at all. I was really glad that he didn't win it last year, but I do think that he's probably going to win it this year. I think he's probably the favourite to win it, although I can't stand him. Everyone goes on about him being nice. God, I can't stand him. He makes my skin crawl. Ronnie O'Sullivan.
Very modest there, Tom. Very modest.
He's very, very good at what he does, but I just don't like him as a person. I think he's.
And again, Tom, this is an award for what they do on the pitch or in their sport.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay.
Which baffles me.
That's why I've said I think he probably will win, but I don't like him.
Yeah.
Ronnie O'Sullivan is he's a bit of a. I do like Ronnie O'Sullivan as well.
I think this is this is some people obviously hate him and some people obviously love him as well. So I think
I think this is if you get him because he's trying to make people laugh. He's an entertainer. When he remember that one when he asked the referee what's the prize for 147 and he told him that's not enough and then he purposely got a 146. That's hilarious. That's funny. That's not like buying a house in Monaco so you don't have to pay tax in this country. It's that level of banter off the field. That's what I mean about Lewis Hamilton. Jordan Henderson was a strange one as well because of all the footballers for their performance on the pitch. Jordan Henderson never leaps to my mind. Even though I know Liverpool won the league, but why not? Why not one of the other Liverpool players? Do they have to be British? Is that part of the thing? I think it is, isn't it? They're probably.
I think it is.
I'm just looking at the list. They must have to be English, which is another reason why Lewis Hamilton shouldn't get it because he's forever off. He's always on video link whenever he's on one of these things. Last year he was off on his holidays somewhere because he didn't live in the country. But anyway,
I'm just looking now. At the 2012 Sports Personality of the Year and trying to see who won that. And
I think it would have been Bradley Wiggins, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because I think it was Wiggins. But again, it's obviously because it's an Olympic year that it's going to be predominantly pulled in. I'm just trying to think of I'm trying to think of Chelsea players and winning, in a similar sort of thing, winning the league, that sort of thing.
Yeah. So,
similar. If you look at similar. Sort of things in terms of teams, but obviously there's been less sport. So again, they are probably clutching at straws. Not saying that none of these people are worthy of being nominated, but there's been less sport to pick from. But it'll be interesting to see. I think Hamilton is the clear favourite.
Yeah. There doesn't seem to be any like token picks though this year. Remember like last year, Alan Wynne-Jones was in the list because he played a lot of rugby. That's not a reason to be Sports Personality of the Year. So there doesn't seem to be anything like that, which is good. Holly Doyle as well. I've just watched the little Joe Wicks thing. She seems like an up-and-coming person.
Similar to the girl, similar to the two last year, where you're saying that it's that sort of thing next.
Yeah, she's only 24. She's won 5 races in a row or something this year, which is unprecedented for somebody of her age. So she's one to look out for in the future, but at only 24. So. Maybe, but I think we're both saying Lewis Hamilton then for
If I had to put money on it, if I had to put my hair on it or something stupid like that, I would say Lewis Hamilton.
Yeah. So we're going on for quite a long time already, Billy, and we haven't got to any of our amazing features yet. The sports chat has taken over.
I was going to say, Tom, because normally we batter them through the whole and the rundown that you gave me before we started recording has completely gone out the window because I was like, right, he's going to say now I need to start playing this audio clip. So I'm getting ready and go, oh, no, we're not doing that. We're doing something else. So if you have made it this far, well done. You can listen to all the sports chat. And we're now going to probably do the sports chat even more because we're going to do the commentary clip, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
Tom.
Well, yeah, we are. But the reason I put this first in the running order was so that we could get more people to get, answers from. But now we're about half an hour, 40 minutes into the podcast, so it doesn't really matter anyway. So let's hear. Can we hear last week's first, Billy? Is that possible? I think I think we might be able to guess this one.
Yeah, I don't know if you've had any answers. I've had a couple of texts, so I can say we've got at least a couple of answers. So hopefully you can hear this. Hopefully you can. I'm just going to turn the audio up. Hopefully, let me know if you give me the thumbs up, Tom, if you can hear this.
Okay.
We haven't been able to control the play in midfield the way that Maradona has been able to do. And he's hurting England again here. It's a brilliant run. It's one of the World Cup great goals.
There we are.
Was that Gary Lineker against Cameroon in 1990?
You are right, Tom. Well done. No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
So obviously, it was Diego Maradona's second goal against England in 1986, and
yes,
an awful commentary. I cannot stand Martin Tyler. That's one of the best goals ever scored, and he just sort of goes, Maradona only scored one of the great World Cup goals.
It was only after, because obviously I'm watching the clip, so I can obviously see it and everything going on. But it was only when I then went to clip the audio thing to put up on Twitter after that I realised how little information he gives you about this goal. Yeah. It's literally just him saying, "Oh, Maradona's got the ball. Maradona scored," and that's it. So go on.
Saying that is how television commentary should be. Yeah. That's not what he does now. Because if that goal had been scored now, he'd have been rambling on about, oh, well, something happened 3 years ago. And do you remember, Gary? And then the goal would have just happened and he wouldn't have been talking about the goal. Because that's what Martin Tyler does now. But you let the pictures speak for themselves. But that, to me, was just, for such an iconic goal, it's such a disappointing and underwhelming piece of commentary.
I'll have to have a look after at Owen's. Because Michael Owen famously then does a similar sort of goal, where he does a mazy run sort of thing, and have a look at the commentary for that and compare the two, just to see how much more adulation or something like that they give Owen, or if they're just silent the whole way through that one as well. But I know Xander, my sister's fiance, he managed to get it right, and so did my dad when I played it to him, because neither of them have Twitter, so I send it to them separately, and they text me then their results. And I do tell them, you need to listen. I told Xander, so if he hasn't listened to the podcast last week, I am going to be very disappointed, because obviously this is the second week now I'm giving him a shout out. So he better now message me to say, I'm not going to mention it to him now until he messages me saying, thanks for the shout out. So
if he sends me, of course, if he sends the address, the chocolate bar will be in the post. I'm still waiting for Harry's address to send him his, but if he doesn't want it, that's fine. I'll have it myself.
We'll roll it on for next week, and it can be 3 chocolate bars.
Exactly. Right. So, Billy, your new clip. I'll set it all up for you so you can clip this up in a minute and put it on Twitter. This week's commentary clip comes from an unknown location, an unknown competition, an unknown player. It's your job to guess who it is. Billy, hit the clip.
We're expecting Massa any time now. He comes through to claim his 6th victory of the season. He has done everything he needed to do, and we wait now to find out who will be the world champion of 2008. Can this man do anything? Can he run it up the inside of Vettel? Only a few corners to go now, and desperation starts to creep in for Massa.
Raikkonen's third. And is that Glock? Is that Glock going slowly?
It is, it's Glock! Oh my goodness me! Hamilton's back in position again. 100,000 local hearts sink in the grandstands. It's handed the place back to Hamilton. He comes through, and absolutely right. I'm sure that he is going to claim 5th place, which is all he needs to do to become the 2008 Formula One World Champion.
There you are. Quite a long one today, but I wanted to keep the whole clip intact, so I'm not going to go through it again. You're only going to have it once. If you want to listen to it again, you're going to have to rewind and go back to it, because it's 49 seconds long, but I tried to cut it and it just didn't make any sense, so I kept it all in, because that's the original commentary. Tom, obviously, you might have a couple of guesses. There's big clues. I've left massive, huge clues in there, but it's the name of obviously who won. Try not to Google it. If you want to Google it, fine. But
I think I might know, but I don't know whether it's the right sort of time for him. I think it might be slightly before his time, although I've no idea how long this person has been driving for. Who knows?
Okay.
Right.
Who knows?
But as we're in a rush now, Billy, we need to move on to the next one. So you need to stop sharing your sound now so that I can share mine, because this is everybody's favourite part of the show. We've mixed up the order a little bit, and we're going to have, if you just bear with me 1 second. Oh, my God. So Come on.
You should just sing it again, Tom.
I know. Allowing sex with domestic animals during Malcolm Pike left an address at where he was Brazilian Chico Rodriguez has stuffed 10,000 pounds down the government are banning babies to own businesses. A Dutch football team is not allowed to be sponsored by sex toys. A 3-year-old has been swept off by a kite. Bears.
It's time for Believe It or Not.
You are fake news.
Did you by any chance, Billy, see Donald Trump's very urgent speech last night?
No, but I did hear about it.
Oh my God. I stumbled across it, and it was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen in my life. 45 minutes of him just rambling on still. I don't think he's ever going to win this election. But anyway, I don't think this podcast is ever going to end either, so go
on. Okay, so the first one is male stripper shot 5 times after showing up at gang hideout. By being mistaken in a cop costume. Sorry, I missed the end of that.
Okay, right. I was going to say, that's just a really weird story. Just a bloke turns up and gets shot. Cool.
MP resigns after police arrest him at local sex party. Okay. And man finally marries their sex doll after a year waiting.
There's always a sex doll story.
Well, I don't know if you remember this, Tom, but we did say that we are going to have a fundraiser this month to obviously try and subdue my loneliness. After we've done obviously your fundraising, we've decided that we're going to do another fundraiser. So I saw this and then one of the other stories and thought, sorted. That's the theme for this week. Yeah. So yeah, which one do you want to know about first, Tom?
So I want to know the name of the MP, please, and his constituency.
Okay, so the name of the MP is Joseph Sazar. And he's a Hungarian MP.
Right, okay.
Not a Hungary, Hungarian.
I know. So I've got a friend who is Hungarian. She tells me quite often about the kind of goings-on in Hungary and Hungarian politics. This sounds totally plausible. So I'm not even going to ask any further questions. That is true.
Okay. Which one do you want next?
So the man who married his sex doll, why did he have to wait for a year?
Well, they've been engaged for a year, and obviously it's been postponed due to the coronavirus.
Did she have many guests?
Not that I can see. It doesn't tell me anything about the guests.
Okay. What's his name then, please?
His name is Yuri.
Was that it?
It's Yuri. I'm trying to pronounce it. Toloshko. I'm going to say it's Yuri Toloshko.
Toloshko.
Yeah.
Okay. So what country is that in as well, please?
Kazakhstan.
Okay. The greatest exporters of potassium. Right yes. Then. Okay. Obviously, we're trying.
Do you want to know the name of his
the doll?
Bride? Yeah. No, his bride, Margot.
Margot
Toloshko. Obviously now.
Right. Okay.
It doesn't give a maiden name.
No. Hasbro. Or Love Honey.
I just want to point out, Tom, that this is a legal marriage because both parties are considered over the age of 18.
Was she consenting?
Yeah, that's what it is, and it says that's what it all says that it was a consenting relationship. and it was originally supposed to take place in March, but due to
So
COVID, they couldn't have it.
How long did the relationship go on for?
When did it begin?
Engagement? Yeah.
When did it begin?
There must have been a bit of a courting. You know, that it took it out for a couple of meals to the garage to pump.
Well, I know that he had proposed last year in 2019. In December 2019 is when he proposed. But he was
struggling to find something for Christmas. Was he? So just
yeah. I can't find any information of how long they've been together, unfortunately.
Okay,
but
that's fine. Okay, so the male stripper that was shot 5 times because he was wearing a police
outfit.
Yeah. Where did this take place?
Belgrade in Serbia.
Oh man, you've gone very Eastern with your Eastern Europe. How many with your answers here? So, what was the male stripper's name, please?
It looks like David, but I'm presuming it's David Petrovic.
David Petrovic. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a Serbian name. Okay, so this party that was going on, were they expecting the police to arrive then? Were they, why was there an alarm caused?
From what I can see, let me just have a look. He showed up at a bachelorette party to entertain a group of women. Obviously, that's the common cause. But he wrote down the street name wrong and showed up at a similar naming street and knocked on the door in his usual police act when a woman answered the door and called the police, and shots were fired from a neighbor who was part of this drug cartel in Serbia, in Belgrade.
Wow. Okay. So it's quite a difficult one this week because I'm fairly sure. I mean, I haven't asked a lot about the Hungarian MP, but I genuinely don't feel like I need to because it does sound like something that my friend Viv has told me various times. So I am believing of that one. I've bought it, so that's why I'm going to say that one is fake because I know how my brain works. So so the one that I haven't asked any questions about, that's the fake one. That's my thinking.
Well, the MP one.
The MP one is fake.
Okay. So the bodybuilder. I don't know if I told you he was a bodybuilder.
No,
the man who married the sex doll is true.
He's a bodybuilder.
A bodybuilder. If you want, Tom, I can show you a picture of the married couple.
I don't know if you're able to because I've got my sound on.
Hang on. There you are. Yeah, I can do it now. There you are. For those of you looking on YouTube, watching on YouTube. Yeah, there might be. I think there's. Here we are.
Oh wow, she's very realistic, though, isn't she?
There you are.
Wow.
Yep. She's obviously had some surgery done.
It takes all sorts, doesn't it, Billy?
I would just like to point out. I know I'm on the Daily Mirror, but it was on various other news sources. It was just a top link that I clicked on.
It does look real.
The next one. Yeah, the story's real. Unfortunately, she isn't. Unfortunately, Tom, you should have gone with your gut instinct.
Oh no.
The Hungarian MP has resigned as a result of being caught from fleeing a sex party in a bar. He's shimmied down. I was really looking forward to you asking me these questions because this sounds so fake. He shimmied down a drain pipe and was stopped by the police at the bottom. So he's landed on the police. And they've arrested him for the possession of drugs.
Wow.
Rather than him being at the sex party. I was like, yeah, this is going to be great because I'm going to make it sound so far-fetched. And you were like, yeah, I'm just going to ignore that one. I was like, oh, what? So the male stripper was made up. Again, it was because the other two places again were East European. I chose a similar area to try and keep them all together. So I've gazumped you, Tom. I'm back on form.
Exactly. Well, the truth is, Billy, I couldn't work out which of the other two were fake, so I thought I'd go for the one that I knew was true, and hope that was right.
There we are.
So it's time for our next topic, which is a very short one. Although it's going to be quite long this week because it's 2 minutes long, but I think it's quite good anyway. And it's this one.
Now, football. Everton, Manchester United, Leeds United, So visiting from United. Westbrook, which Tottenham Hotspur space. Little City. What versus the reporting?
That makes me laugh every single time. I'd just like to point out that it's now trending on YouTube as well because various YouTube personalities like KSI and things like that, PewDiePie, are all watching this clip and reacting to it. So we've started a trend, Tom.
Exactly. He also, so he knows as well what he's doing now because I've watched some of his more recent videos because it's from a Ghanaian TV station. And they've got lots and lots of videos, and each video probably averages about 1,000 views each video. All these, stories about the goings on in Ghana, but then the sport videos get about 1 million views each time, and he grins now and laughs down the camera. So the one that we've managed to get is the Sting
original.
I'm really pleased with. But anyway, this is it doesn't need any introduction because he does explain it himself. But this is the meme, the Sky Sports meme of the week when it loads.
Hello, everybody. 2020 been a terrible year for everybody, obviously, and it got me thinking about what this year would look like if we could summarise it into a single horse race, the coronavirus Grand National, and I think it would go something like this. Well, hello there, and welcome to entry for the coronavirus Grand National. The last few just going in now. One of those, Barnard Castle, ridden by Dominic Cummings. Just checking his eyesight as he goes in there. And next to him, Liar Liar, Pants on Fire. So they're all in, they're on the starters' orders. And they're away, and first to show is Donald Trump on hydrochloroquine, followed by public inquiry, and Boris Johnson on borrowed time. This group now coming to the first now, and it's the faller there. There's a fall, it's the statue. The statue's gone down, brought down by Black Lives Matter, so the favourites out of the race, and the R number went down there as well, but only momentarily. The R number straight back up again now, and going along nicely. So they come around the back straight now, and it's locked down by 2 metres from social distance. My wife's lost it, the pubs are closed, and I want a divorce. It's this group who take it up now. A second wave starts to come, but Boris Johnson's following the science, and the science looks like it's floundering, so it could be let's make it up as we go along. They come round the bend for the final time, and it's winter now. Winter's coming, and it's getting closer. Winter's coming, but look at it on the outside. It's Spanish flu. Where's that come from? Spanish flu followed by the plague. It's these two now, and vaccine as well starting to come, but it could all be too late. It's going to be a close one as they come to the line, and on the line Amazon can't deliver. So first across is wash your hands, second is wear a mask and stay at home. In the distance, Brexit, and who knows when that's going to finish. And finally, my wife's left me, I've got no job, and it's all China's fault. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas, everyone. I don't know who actually did that, but it got sent via WhatsApp on various
I saw
stuff.
I saw it as well, and I did think of messaging you, but I did think, it's probably a bit too long. But hey ho, it's on there.
Yeah.
And
This is the long pod.
Yeah, it's the longest one we've probably done, Tom. So yeah, but yeah, it's good. I enjoyed that. I did enjoy it.
Good.
But yeah, good.
I've dropped a feature from this week. We're not going to have, sadly, the podcast recommendation for next week.
Well,
so
in fairness, Tom, they did have a few last week, and I pitched one as well. So they had double the amount last week, didn't they? Because obviously I pitched mine. That's why. You obviously want to keep him wanting more, Tom. Keep him wanting more.
Exactly.
Speaking of wanting more,
and it's time for Billy Roach's poll.
There we go. Time for your poll, Billy.
Yeah. Speaking of wanting more, if you don't follow us on Twitter, Tom is going to share the Twitter handle once I finish this sentence because I can't remember it. But you need to start voting on the Twitter poll because so far I did one poll on Tuesday. I only put it up for a day, and there was a certain amount of votes. I'm not going to announce how many. But then I did a second vote yesterday, and it had 4 times the amount. Okay, it had 4 times the amount of votes. So we went up, but we've obviously, and I thought it was quite an interesting question, but obviously a few people didn't think. But go on, Tom. Have you got something?
I've got to say, Billy, you've got to start putting the poll out on the actual podcasts thing. That might help.
Yeah. Now that we've got 100 followers on the. 101 followers. Whereas previously, when I've had success with the poll, I've had more followers and obviously thought, they'll just keep doing that. Whereas now I probably will next week put it on and then retweet it from my account.
Yeah.
So
if you do want to follow us, it's at Scenes Podcast. So
Tom,
at Scenes Podcast.
So I hope I'm right in saying this, but I think it was the anniversary of the Return of the Jedi being released. Hence why I put this as the poll. I'm only going to read out the new poll rather than the old poll. But the question I asked this week was basically Star Wars versus Lord of the Rings, because there is Return of the Jedi and Return of the King. I personally enjoy the Lord of the Rings, maybe a bit more than Star Wars, which is hence why I've put the poll up. But we had quite a few people vote. Tom, did you vote? I'm hoping you did.
Vote, yeah, I did.
Yeah. Who did you vote for?
I went for Star Wars because I'm not a fan of Lord of the Rings at all. I've seen all the films once, and that was once more than I would like to.
Whereas I think, again, this is me. I've read the books as well, so I think it was one of those things where you've read similar to Harry Potter, that sort of thing. But the nation agrees with you, Tom, with 75% of people voting
unanimous
for Return of the Jedi over Return of the King. And like I said, we had 4 times the amount of people vote on the second poll, which is astronomical. I'm not going to tell you how many voted, but if you want to obviously get involved, you need to go and follow us on Twitter. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, great. Thank you for sharing your findings there, Billy. And to finally finish this marathon of a podcast, it's my turn to recommend something. And it is a new song by the artist Liam Gallagher, who has released what I think he's probably trying to sell it as a Christmas single. And it's called something like All You're Dreaming Of. Let me just find out what it's definitely actually called. All You're Dreaming Of. And it is quite a really good song. I don't know who writes his songs at the minute because it's not him. He's got a team of songwriters, but this one is.
Do you think it's his brother?
No, it's not his brother.
Okay.
No, but this is why as well, because I was thinking now when they inevitably get back together, because Oasis will get back together at some point. They'll both be short on money at some point.
Yeah.
They've both got now quite a back catalogue of their own songs, and they do both have some quite good songs of their own that they will just have to leave because they won't be able to come to a compromise and play their solo work. So go and check out that song. I very much like it. It's been in my head this week. So yeah, that's that. So I think we've finally come to the end, haven't we, Billy?
Yes, finally.
Congratulations
we made it.
To everybody who's listened.
Yeah, this is your award for obviously listening all about last month and helping Tom raise money. So we've given you an extra long podcast, and it's the countdown to Christmas. So it's an early Christmas present. Yeah. We'll obviously notice how many people don't make it this far and then cut it short next week.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But, thank you very much if you have managed to listen all the way to the end. If you do, I know that everybody has been sharing their Spotify Wrapped over the last couple of days. Your podcast, Billy, was my top listened to podcast on my Spotify Wrapped because for some reason I only listen to yours on Spotify. But the other ones were what was it? 77 Club, my own podcast, Show Us Your Kid, and I think it was probably this one, Absolute Scene. So if for some reason my sister sent it to me as well, that this podcast was her 5th highest podcast that she'd listened to. So if you do your Spotify Wraps and we appear on it, then please let us know somehow.
Tweet us
at Scenes Podcast and let us know if we are one of your top podcasts. We'd very much appreciate it. But yeah, tell somebody as well about it. Give it to somebody as a Christmas present, this podcast. Or if you watch on YouTube, then
someone you love, someone you hate. We don't mind who. Just one or the other.
We're easy. If you're on YouTube as well and you've watched all to the very end, then drop a little comment or ask a question that we can answer in the next podcast. And we've got a special bonus episode hopefully planned for some point over the Christmas week for you to enjoy with a special guest. And yes, and hopefully be a bit of a competition as well. So we're looking forward to that. We're looking forward to next Thursday as well. Only a couple of weeks to Christmas. Billy, you getting all your stuff done? Are you shopping?
Nope.
No, good. That's the spirit. Right, we'll see you all next week. All the best. Go well. Godspeed. Bye-bye.
Bye.